more Epstein documents about to be released. The Epstein estate, right now as I speak, preparing to hand over more information to the House Oversight Committee. And I'm going to speak with the top Democrat on that committee in just a moment about what they're expecting and when. It comes as the White House press secretary is still calling all of this a hoax.
And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States.
Epstein's crimes, as we say every time this story happens, is and were not a hoax. They were disgusting and warrant full investigation. And anyone who knew about them, was aware of them, or participated in them should be held to account. But don't take our word for it. Listen to the victims.
We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
Haley Robson, who you just heard right there, will be my guest. She is coming up in just a few moments. But the White House did not stop there in trying to make this a mere political fight and trying to make this about Democrats versus Republicans.
They could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then.
Now that is true. But somebody was pushing then for transparency, right? Somebody who is not pushing for it now, somebody who is blocking it now. And that somebody is Republicans, and specifically Republicans who are very close to Trump.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light?
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
What the hell are they hiding with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, those voices now, so many of them so quiet, are suddenly on the other side of this. Still, tonight, no one has been brought to light, as Don Jr. rightly demanded. So why is the White House now trying to block that same transparency that Trump's closest allies once fought so hard for? Well, is it perhaps because it now hits too close to home? I mean, sure, there's Trump's signature on the letter in Jeffrey Epstein's book, tip of the iceberg, perhaps. Trump's name on an oversized check featured in a photo showing Epstein joking about selling Trump a, quote, fully depreciated. Now, the White House says neither of those signatures are Trump's. And of course, Trump hasn't been accused of wrongdoing in relation to Epstein's crimes. But despite years of calls for transparency from Trump's allies and an ongoing lack of transparency from the White House, Republicans are changing their tune. No longer calling for that same transparency and instead jumping on board with the easy bandwagon of quote unquote Democratic hoax. But not all Republicans. And one Republican who has stood up for what is right here has his theory as to what's going on.
I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles. But that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine.
Okay, he said it. And that is the reality. And it is clear that Trump wants to move on. Right today, when he was asked about the signature in the birthday book, he responded, quote, "I don't comment on something that's a dead issue. It's a dead issue." I think he thinks that if he says that enough times, it will suddenly become true. But why is it suddenly dead when we don't have any of the information that Trump's allies were calling for? Who were the people who were partaking in Epstein's actions? Who were the men who were also engaging in pedophilia? Who are they? As Trump's own FBI deputy director said just 2 years ago.
Why do they want to make this Jeffrey Epstein story go away so bad?
Why? I mean, literally, why? It shouldn't be hard to just say, put it all out there. It doesn't add up. And Manu Raju is out front on Capitol Hill tonight. Manu, we heard what Massie had to say, and he is doing it at the threat of political annihilation, right? But he is doing it because he has said, and he has made clear, it is a moral issue of moral clarity of right and wrong. But most Republicans on the Hill are not doing what he is doing. How are they explaining that?
Yeah, they're content with the investigation that is still going on in the House Oversight Committee that did produce the document dump from the Epstein estate just yesterday. Did get some documents also from the Justice Department, though a lot of those documents were already public. And when it comes to the revelations that we learned last night, that is part of this document dumping was that birthday letter from 2003 that had Donald Trump's name on it, that Donald Trump is now denying and the White House contends was made up and is a fake document of sorts. Most of those Republicans are shrugging it off. They simply are taking Trump at his word, and they indicated to me they don't plan to investigate that any further.
I'm pretty sure the document was 22 years ago. 22 years ago was, I believe, when that was allegedly sent. So I don't think the Oversight Committee is going to invest in looking up something 22 years ago. We're going to look.
So you're just going to take the president at his word that he.
Well, I mean, what does it have to do with anything? I mean, at the end of the day, again, this investigation's about providing justice for the victims.
Why are you just taking the president at his word that he didn't write this letter?
Because I believe the president.
Do you think the Trump birthday note to Epstein is real?
I don't. They say it's not.
But ultimately, Thomas Massie may get what he wants, which is a vote on his bill to compel the release of all documents, Epstein documents, because we expect there to be 2 additional votes, Democratic signatures, to force this vote on the floor of the House, which is what he needs, a majority of House members to sign on. Those 2 additional members are expected to win special elections to fill seats that have been vacated by Democrats. So by the end of the month, potentially, we could see this on the floor of the House, but still, Aaron, that would have to pass the Senate and also get signed into law by Donald Trump to carry the force of law.
Right. And of course, we know where that would go, but obviously a significant victory for Congressman Massie and Congressman Khanna, who, if they can get those House signatures, that is something, if not Pyrrhic. All right, thank you very much, Manu. And I want to go now to the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia. You've been working with Chairman Comer, and there have been times you and I have talked about that partnership, and you said you've trusted him on subpoenas and you guys have worked together. I want to get to that in a moment. I want to just find out now, we're 24 hours after all these documents that you got. I know you're going to get more, but in the big dump that you had overnight, have you learned anything more, Congressman, that answers who was involved with Epstein?
Well, I think the single most important thing in finding is that it's clear that Donald Trump's assertion that somehow this birthday note was a mystery or some sort of fabrication or lie, that's been proven to be untrue. I mean, the president essentially has been lying to the American public about the existence of this note. Clearly, he drew and wrote the note. Clearly, Republicans all across Congress today are bold-faced lying to the American people. The president should fess up and admit that he wrote the note. It's also quite a disturbing note, this idea that they had some type of special secret between the two of them. The drawing itself, very concerning. And on top of that, we now see this book that was compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell of all of these drawings, of which many are incredibly disturbing, of Jeffrey Epstein interacting with young girls, children, in some of these drawings. This is someone, by the way, that said Donald Trump was his best friend for over 10 to 15 years. So why the current president of the United States was so close to a serial predator and sex trafficker, I think is an important question, and which is why we need to get all of the Epstein files released to the committee and to the public.
Have you seen any evidence of Trump's involvement or knowledge beyond the drawing? I mean, we know he's been on the Epstein plane. They were friends. We do know all of those things, but I mean in the documents that you have.
Well, remember, we barely have any documents. I mean, the only reason we have the Epstein estate documents and a tiny sliver of the actual Epstein documents is because Democrats on the Oversight Committee have forced subpoenas and votes that Republicans didn't want to take. And so to answer your question, we need to actually get access to the full Epstein documents, which we have subpoenaed from the DOJ that they're refusing right now to send over. They're under authority, legal authority by the Congress to get us those documents. The first batch of documents that we got from the DOJ, which happened a couple of weeks ago, we know that 97% of those documents were already publicly available information.
Yep.
The documents we got yesterday from the Epstein estate, we worked with subpoena just directly with the Epstein estate. Those documents contain a lot of new information, which we're, of course, right now reviewing. Now, later this week, we have a team going to New York to also meet with the Epstein estate to review additional financial records. But we need all the Epstein documents now to be able to answer all the questions that we have.